Let's bring you some reaction to that. Now, joining us from Cape Town is the director of the Alcohol, Tobacco and Other Drug Research Unit at the Medical Research Council. That's Professor Charles Perry in our Cape Town studio. Professor, good morning, and thanks for your time this morning. What warning does this study actually send out? What is it saying about not even having one drink a day?
Yes, thank you. Basically, it's saying there's no safe amount of alcohol to drink in terms of having negative effects on your body. Although there is a confidence interval around that at 0 to about 2/3 of a drink. If you drink that amount, you can be sure you're really minimizing your risk of harm. But if you're drinking 3-4 drinks a day, there's a strong likelihood that you are putting your body at risk in terms of non-communicable diseases, infectious diseases, violence, and other health problems.
Now, Prof, this sort of seems to go against what many have been thinking for decades. Like, say, for example, a glass of red wine for heart disease, blood pressure, those kinds of things. Advice given by doctors themselves.
Yes, well, there are about 2 conditions where a moderate amount of alcohol has been shown to have a beneficial effect, and that is diabetes and ischemic heart disease. So perhaps up to 2 drinks a day, slightly more, may be beneficial. But there are so many other conditions where any amount of alcohol is harmful. But obviously you have to look at the risk. So for a female, the risk of breast cancer may be 20%. And if you drink 1 drink a day, your risk will go up to 22%. 2 drinks per day, 24%. 3 drinks per day, 26%. So you may decide you can live with that risk. We all live with a certain amount of risk, but certainly I think people really need to start being concerned if they're drinking 3-4 drinks a day. But yes, no alcohol is certainly the safest way to protect your health.
Let's provide some clarity on this. Is it that alcohol could be harmful in these cases in a pre-existing condition, or are we saying alcohol could cause the condition, could lead to the condition?
No, this is looking at causality. The drinking comes before the harmful condition, and there's generally a dose-response relationship. So the more alcohol you drink, in virtually all cases, the more harm in terms of cancers, heart disease, so on. So yes, it's not people with pre-existing conditions. I mean, alcohol really is a poison. I mean, many of us take a drink occasionally, and we live with that risk. But certainly we need to be aware that, from a public health point of view, that any alcohol really is harmful to your health.
So you are saying any and all alcohol, not that certain types of alcohol might be more harmful than others?
No, I mean, this study, as I said, looked at data across the world and looked at 195 countries. And really the issue is the ethanol. It's not the kind of alcohol, whether you drink spirits or things like that. So, yes, any amount of alcohol generally is harmful, but our bodies can't process it. So if we're having a small amount of alcohol, 1 drink 3-5 times a week, our body will handle it, and probably we won't suffer really any serious health effects. But certainly if we're drinking 3-4 drinks per day, 5 or 6 days a week, we need to be aware that we're putting ourselves at risk. And certainly if you're over 50, the study showed that there was a strong link between drinking and cancer risk.
Now we also know, I mean, Prof, let's call
overall, in fact... Yep.
Carry on.
Sorry, I was going to say overall, in fact, well, alcohol was the 7th greatest risk factor for death and disability of any reason, of any cause. And in the 15 to 49-year-old age group, alcohol was the greatest risk factor for dying or living with a disability. So
we are a society that does drink. I mean, let's put it that way. I mean, most South Africans will drink. Sure. It's a habit that's probably going to be very difficult, especially if they haven't fallen ill from consuming alcohol so far. So what would be the precaution then? Because many will say, I eat healthy, I exercise, so surely I take care of myself. A glass or 2 of wine a day is not going to kill me.
No, I mean, it probably won't kill you. I mean, it might increase your risk of certain conditions. And I think we live with a certain amount of risk. I mean, I drink alcohol occasionally, and I'm prepared to live with that risk. So I think we need to be aware of how much we're drinking. I think certain number of people drink and they don't. They go out for an evening and they might drink 5, 6, 7 drinks. And that's really putting themselves at great risk. So certainly the big issue is to look at is the amount of alcohol you're consuming. You need some alcohol-free days per week. And as you said, we need to look at lifestyle. We need to look at what we eat. We need to look at our exercise. And we certainly shouldn't smoke.
I think, Prof, just to round it up, and you've probably mentioned it already, but just what are the safe limits then? What are the sort of acceptable number of drinks to have, whether it's per week or per day?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of debate about this. I would say for, perhaps 2 drinks per day would be a limit, and occasions one might go more, but you certainly need some alcohol-free days per week as well, and one needs to limit one's alcohol. I think one needs to look at what you're drinking and look at if you can bring it down. So certainly there is no safe limit. That's what the study said. I mean, the upper limit for minimizing harm was 2/3 of a drink. So maybe you could say 1 drink, but then you're also slightly putting yourself into the risk category. But maybe we can live with that risk. So if you really want to minimize your risk, 1 drink per day would probably be the safe limit.